Oh, hello there. Well, chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a pretty conscientious sort of person. And I don't want to waste your time, but that's what we're talking about this time. We're talking about food waste. Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite old enough to have been a war baby, but like my parents were, and I sort of feel like those values were instilled in me. I can't bear food waste. Fortunately, we've got two experts here with some top tips for what to do with your scraps. Let me preface this by saying that one of us is hungover. I'm not going to say which one of us, but let's meet our guest. Lady Gaga, aka Reduction Raider, is our first returning panellist to the podcast. She's known for being an expert at conjuring dishes from the reduced section in supermarkets. She's also a columnist for Vegan Life magazine. And Celine Steen is the author of the No Waste, Save the Planet Vegan Cookbook and has a fabulous blog and breakfast.net with some of the most beautiful photography I've ever seen. Both of you, welcome.
Hello.
And whichever one of us is suffering right now has my sympathy. It could be me. It could be me.
The wonky screen gives it away.
Yeah, slightly.
I know. Is it the pink onesie? This is a hangover suit, they call these, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm forgetting people can't see
well,
it,
some people can. We can put bits on social media. Why not?
It's a pink, oversized hangover suit.
Okay, that's good. Well, I'm impressed. I'm going to assume that the hangover has come from eating some fermenting vegetable matter from the bottom of your fridge. Because your commitment to zero waste means that if you end up getting a little bit drunk from time to time, so be it. Sometimes,
absolutely, some soggy apples.
Yeah, sometimes these things just happen. So we've got some great questions. As always, you can email us any question you have about vegan or plant-based cooking. It's podcast@veganlifemag.com and we will field it to the best people to answer the question. But let's jump in. Josh says, and this is a great opening question, what do dates on the packets actually mean? Even if it looks fine, I always feel it tastes a little bit different after the sell-by date. Or is that just in my head? Can I eat things that are a few days or even weeks out of date? Celine, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I think most of the time they're just guidelines. They want the freshest produce or products to get to the consumer. So they're going to give you dates that you should, start using your nose or your visual cues to see if it's still edible. Personally, most of the time, if it's a yogurt or whatever, I just give it the sniff test and the taste, of course. If it's tastes off, then I just throw it to the bin.
Yeah. Laura, what about you and the sniff test? I don't mean you personally.
I do like a sniff test. But you know what? I think it is really important to know the difference between the dates, because you have things like sell-by, display until dates, which are actually just for stock control, and then you will have a best before date that is telling you when it's at its best quality, but it's not relating to a food safety. Use by date does relate to food safety, but I mean, there's lots of ways in which you can extend the life of food. You know, freezing food, absolutely great, batch cooking. And also, I do think one of the great things about being vegan is that there's very few foods that you eat that are going to go off that quickly.
Yeah.
And also, it was Josh, wasn't it, who asked the question?
It was.
He said, is it in his head or can you taste the difference? And I do think with certain things you can taste the difference. You know, like if you get that pre-cut fruit and vegetable, so like carrot battens, so things like that, because the vegetable's been washed and cut, it does start to turn really quickly. So that's another actual reason to sort of avoid buying pre-cut fruit and veg if you can. I mean, for one, it's very expensive. For two, it creates a lot of waste. And for three, it goes off quicker. But yeah, I think other things, sometimes it's probably a bit psychosomatic, isn't it? I think it's the idea that something's maybe a bit off, so you think it's a bit off.
I'm going to ask, just among the three of us, can you raise your hand if you've carried on eating hummus even if it's gone a little fizzy? It's the same principle as kimchi, isn't it? It's nothing wrong with that. What is the most borderline thing you've ever eaten where you're like, I'm pushing the envelope here?
I think I'm going to go with kimchi. When it started to smell like feet, beyond the normal strong smell of kimchi.
Yeah.
I cannot throw that away. It's been too much work to prepare. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Or might as well cook it, just pan fry it a little bit with fried rice, and there you go.
Oh, yeah. The whole, cook it till everything inside it has to be dead. Yeah, I do that one. Laura, what about you?
Maybe something with mould on it that I've cut off. I'm thinking like when I used to eat cheese, I would just cut off the mould bit and carry on, and definitely do that with bread. Definitely something with mould. And also maybe I don't know if you'd class it as gone off stuff, but when I've had food from my friend's allotment and you get some creepy crawlies come through it, I would still eat it. I mean, obviously remove the creepy crawly first and then eat it.
Yeah, well, you're vegan after all.
Yeah, that's right.
I once bought an organic cauliflower, and it had two really beautiful, quite fat caterpillars living inside it. I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe this cauliflower is not mine. Or at least half of this cauliflower. this isn't mine. So I let them have it, more or less. You guys just and we hatched them. They turned into chrysalids, and we did that with my kid. I was like, this would be a great educational experience.
Oh, cute!
It's the most disgusting stomach churning thing I've ever seen in my life. It drips this kind of red blood stuff at the bottom as it's hatching, and it's gruesome. It's disgusting. So Nature's disgusting.
Did you see it become butterflies?
Yeah. Once all the slime had dried off them.
That's cute.
No, it's not. It's disgusting. Anyway, it took every impulse I had as a vegan not to stamp on it. It was like an alien. So, you're right. That use by is the one that you're supposed to really listen to. If they say use by, you got to use it by that date. Everything else is just a kind of guideline, isn't it? Really. And it might taste a bit different, but what the hell? Just go for it. Sarah says, I saw on Instagram, which is a great repository for purely factual knowledge, that storing your food, well, it can, that storing your, of course, storing your food in the best places, like the fridge and freezer, or indeed the cupboard, will help your food stay fresher for longer. I always leave my yogurts on the radiator. I don't know. Anyway, but how do I know where to store it correctly? Can I keep all my fruit and veg in the fridge? Laura, let's start with you.
I am a lover of fruit and veg in the fridge. I actually even keep bananas in the fridge. So even though you'll see the skin colour turn, the actual banana will stay ripe for longer. So, I love fruit and veg in the fridge.
Does it not make your fridge smell like banana sweets?
Yeah, but that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It's that's a bad thing. That should be celebrated. That's great.
Could be worse. Yeah.
I'm a lover of fruit and veg in the fridge. And the freezer, actually. So I think fruit and veg is great in the freezer. And the other part of the question was how to find out the internet. I think majority of us have the internet at the tip of our fingertips. So I think anything that you're not sure about, just Google.
Yeah. Celine, what about you? Do you stick everything in the fridge?
Almost everything. We live in a very hot climate in the summer. It's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit for over 4 months. So I have to keep absolutely everything in the fridge. Otherwise, it just ripens so quickly. But there are a few exceptions. I never put oranges or any citrus because the flavor, they become just off, kind of bitter, acidic. And also tomatoes, they get super meaty if I put them in the fridge. So I always keep on the counter and eat as quickly as possible.
And where are
do
you?
think
Sorry, Jake.
That's all right.
Yeah, where is this tropical
California,
climate?
just very close to the desert.
Wow, amazing.
Gets really, really unbearable and humid and disgusting. So we have, the breads, like you said, the bananas have to be kept in the fridge. Otherwise, the next day they're already past consumption. And we have to make banana bread for 10 days.
Wow. Talking about bread.
Nightmare.
Actually, I keep bread in the
Is that
fridge.
so bad? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm completely taking over. But
No, it's good. It's good.
I keep bread in the fridge as well. Talking of bread, I like bread in the fridge and the freezer, but the fridge too.
Yeah, I keep most of my bread in the freezer, and then just toast it when I want it. Or it's great for if you make a sandwich with the frozen bread. Then by the time you get to lunchtime, it's deep.
That is a wicked trick. I'm going to try that. I actually love that idea.
I feel like supermarkets have got us in the UK quite habituated to eating really not very ripe fruit and veg. Things like nectarines, you know, when you buy them in a supermarket, they are crunchy. Like you can break a tooth on those nectarines. So I almost always leave stone fruit out of the fridge. I leave, like you, tomatoes out of the fridge. Quite a lot of stuff. So I think, you can sort of play. I think green leafy vegetable salad stuff you have to keep in the fridge. But I mean, onions.
I keep onions in the fridge.
Somewhere cool and dark and dry. Yeah, I keep them in the fridge, but do you have to? I don't know if you have to.
I don't think you have to.
Technically, you don't have to, but it all depends where you live. If I leave them out too, they just get rotten very quickly. So, like you, I just put them in the fridge. Might as well.
It sounds like you live somewhere that humans just aren't supposed to inhabit, Celine. Lisa says, I follow Stacey Solomon on Instagram. I think she's great. And even though she isn't vegan, she will be. She does a meal called moldy veg soup. And I have totally copied this in my house. You just pick the slightly soft and browning vegetables at the bottom of your fridge, or in my case, pour the slurry that's gathered in the salad compartment. Boil it up and it's certainly totally fine. Does the panel do a similar thing in their house, and what is the mouldy dish they cook? Laura.
I mean, not...
What would you do with a pile of old last legs vegetables?
Well, soup is a really great thing to do with it. And also smoothies, I think, are really great for, sort of fruit and veg on the turn. And something that I used to do, but I don't do it so often anymore because I hardly peel vegetables anymore. But I used to put all the peelings in Tupperware, keep it in the freezer, and then use that as a vegetable stock.
Oh, we're going to come on to that. You keep your stock powder dry there. What about you, Celine?
If it's fruit, I just do crisps or anything, just shove them in the oven, roast them for a bit. Anything that's pretty hard, like a potato or things like that just are starting to turn or look not quite as appealing. I just roast, and anything that's leafy, I just stir fry. Stir fries all day.
Yeah. I think there's nothing wrong with just the great thing about vegetables is you can kind of just throw them all together. If it's some sort of stew or a casserole or whatever, just stick them all in a pot, add some stock if you want, and it'll be fine. Or curries too.
Oh yeah, I love a curry.
Laura says, I would like to make my own nut butter. Is it easy? What's the process? I love this question. Celine, have you made nut butter?
Yeah, I've made it both with a super crappy, if I may say so, food processor. That takes a long time, but it still works. You just roast the nuts, whatever you do, roast the nuts, unless you're raw, in which case, I'm sorry, but it's better.
Yeah.
It helps release the oils, and adding a little bit of salt, of course, also helps with the flavor. And you just put everything in the food processor, and if it's not a high-speed blender type of a processor or a high-quality blender, it can take quite a while. It can take up to 10, 15 minutes. So the important thing to do is to stop and start quite often so that the motor does not overheat, and just using a spatula to grab everything from the sides and going until it turns into butter.
Or if you've got a speedboat, mount the outboard motor on your... No. Laura, have you done the nut butter thing?
I have, and it is really easy. I mean, it's not so easy since I broke my blender, but
okay.
but I didn't break it making
Cautionary
nut butter, to be fair. It involved a frozen cucumber. But yeah.
We'll save that story for after the podcast. I need to hear it.
The podcast after the podcast.
No, actually, let's have it now. What the hell were you doing with a frozen cucumber? Do I want to? Never thought I'd ask anyone this question. What were you doing, Laura, with a frozen cucumber?
I was trying to make a smoothie, but I probably should have broke the cucumber up a bit, you know, like I just put the cucumber in a hole, I put the frozen banana in a hole, like then there was smoke.
What you basically had was a rounder's bat.
Oh, do you know what? I feel a bit bad as well because my niece's partner gave it to me, this sort of fancy industrial blender. Like, so they are now, how the hell did you manage to break an industrial blender? But it can happen, you know.
We're all just one frozen cucumber away from oblivion. I would say it is easy. It's fun. And Laura, something you might want to experiment with. I am just the biggest fan of pumpkin seeds. If you roast them in the oven a bit, you got to watch them. Oh my God, you got to watch them. Also, they do sort of shoot about a bit sometimes. But if you do toast them a little bit, they have this amazing kind of cheesy note, like this weird savory sort of note. And I've found that if you blend them up, you can blend them. If you keep blending them, they'll turn into pumpkin seed butter, which is pretty delicious. But if you just blend them so that they're kind of like quite a fine powder, and if you then throw in some nutritional yeast flakes, maybe some kalanamak if you're into that whole thing, or some ordinary salt, or some miso powder, maybe some garlic powder, maybe a little bit of onion powder. It makes a really good kind of Parmesan type stuff that you can just put over pasta, pizza, salads. I mean, or just spoon into your mouth if you're me. I'm such a fan of pumpkin seeds. I cannot get enough of them.
No, they're amazing. With cumin seeds, they're nice as well, aren't they, do you think?
Haven't done that.
Yeah, like good call. Yeah, really nice. When I've got a blender back in my life, I'm going to do this pumpkin parmesan.
Now it's time for us to ask the question we ask in every episode of this podcast, namely, yes, what do you do with tofu? Now, Celine, you hinted before we started recording that yours was boring. It's got tofu in. Yeah, it's not going to be boring. Tell us.
Yeah, true. We started eating tofu way before I went vegan. So my mom used to make it just simply pan-fried in a little bit of oil into cubes or into slices. And with just a dash of soy sauce, a little pinch of ginger. Sometimes we add a little liquid smoke. And it's absolutely delicious to cook it slowly until it's super brown and super crispy. And salt. Yeah. I should mention salt. So if you don't add
pinch of ginger, though, see,
but just
never done that. That's a top. That's not boring. That's great. I knew there'd be something. There's always something new.
It's delicious.
Laura, have you? What have you got for us this time? Have you got a new one?
I've got to say, right, I've been listening to the podcast every week. And,
it was you.
And now I can't. And now I can't stop singing. What do you do? What do you do with tofu?
All right, thank you. I've got that. I'm going to clip that. It's the remix. Let's coagulate some soy milk. Lady Gaga. Tiny tempeh.
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do with it?
What do you do with tofu?
I'll tell you what to do with it.
What do you do?
Let's scramble it.
What do you do with tofu?
Just like that.
What do you do? What do you do with tofu? Tofu scramble, but I feel like a lot of people have said tofu scramble.
They have. But it's always interesting. I'm always interested to see what spices do you go to in your tofu scramble, because everyone's scramble is different.
I like a little bit turmeric in there to give it the colour. I've got some of that eggy salt at the moment, so I do that. Sometimes a little bit of dairy-free milk if I've got that going as well. And Yeah, it just depends what I've got hanging around, really. I just make use of whatever I have.
That must give it quite a nice kind of creamy note.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, and I suppose because that's how I would have made scrambled eggs when I made scrambled eggs.
Yeah. See, I've never tried that.
You guys find the super firm kind of tofu in the UK?
Yeah, we can
Kind
get
that
that.
you don't even have to press because it's already so
Yeah.
firm.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, we have that. Yeah, we use it for car tires. No, we don't.
Is that a problem that it's square for car tires?
Yeah, I mean, driving is hell. Yeah.
Driving on the left, square tires.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
We are.
But
well,
no,
yes.
you don't like that kind of tofu?
Sorry.
You don't like that kind of tofu, the super firm kind?
Sure, I like that. Yeah, I like it all.
You don't sound impressed.
I think that's just your tone, is it, Jake?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's awful. The cynicism is clearly dripping out of me. No, I love a super firm. I don't often buy it, to be honest. I've become quite conservative with my tofu. I just buy the same packet over and over again, and it's not, it's fine. But I like Laura. I quite often freeze it just for the texture change. I'm gonna go and buy some super firm.
I just
I want
like
to
the
change.
fact that you don't have to. I just like the fact that you don't have to press it to waste, paper towels
And you
or
know
anything
what?
to press it. You just
That's
start
another
it.
good thing about freezing it. Don't you find you don't have to drain it as much once you've frozen it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I never really cared personally for the freezing. I mean, the texture it gives. I don't know if it's the kind that I buy. Maybe it's a different brand that just doesn't.
do you know what's a good little hack is to freeze it and then put it in boiling water for about 15 minutes and you don't have to do any draining. Well, I mean, you have to drain the water out of the pan, but what I mean is you don't have to do any of that pressing.
Okay, I'll try that. We'll give up on my super firm tofu.
Yeah. Does it not all just kind of turn into mush?
No, it's a short
Yeah, okay,
answer.
fine. I will try it. I will share my findings on that fact-based repository, Instagram.
Yeah, I told you.
Well, thank you both for that. Let's get back to your questions. Don't forget, it's podcast at veganlifemag.com if you've got a question about plant-based food. And Edward says, I see online, I'm so curious about this question, people using banana skin in recipes. I'm a bit dubious to try it, says Edward. Yeah, I am too. Do you have any tasty recipes? Celine, have you tried this new fad, the banana skin thing?
It's actually not new. I hear that it's been done for ages in other countries, but we are backwards and we're just starting to do it now.
Yeah.
Because most of us are. But I actually did a pie, a chocolate peanut butter pie using the skin of the bananas. It's really good. It is.
That
really
sounds
good.
absolutely amazing.
A layer with old cookies that, were not tasting quite as good eaten by hand. So I made the crust with the used cookies.
Yeah.
Then the batch of peanut butter, chocolate, and melted chocolate, and bananas, whole bananas, thrown in the high-speed blender.
Just the whole banana skin and all?
Yeah, I think it was 4 bananas. So you get the flavor of the banana. You really want it to come through. Unless you don't, in which case you put less bananas or not the skin if you're scared.
So is it not... do you then cook that?
No, it's like...
Wow.
You know what? Yeah, I did. Sorry,
Okay.
I brain for it another recipe. But I did cook it. And then you put another layer of granola with mixed with melted chocolates on top of all that at the end when it's out of the fridge and ready.
I would absolutely love this in my life. Didn't it sound like an amazing
I'm happy
banoffee
to
pie?
share the recipe.
Yeah.
I'm happy
Just
to share
send me
the
the
recipe.
Yeah.
Send me the pie, not the recipe. Send me a pie.
Yeah. I mean, tonight I may only get as far as melted chocolate with granola, but that's...
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, that's like 30% of the way there. So, brilliant.
But I've also heard people flavoring for desserts, flavoring soy milk or whatever milk they use by boiling the milk with the skin of the banana so that they get the flavor of it. I haven't tried that, but
That sounds
it's done.
incredible, doesn't it, as well? I'm loving the sound of that.
That's a really good idea because that sounds like kind of tasting like banana flavor milk. No. You know, like when you were a kid and you had like banana flavor milk, and it doesn't taste anything like a banana. But I can imagine that. I said to you at the beginning, Laura, when you said that you keep your bananas in the fridge, I was like, doesn't it smell like banana sweets? So maybe it would sort of infuse it with that. I'm going to try that. That's a top tip.
Do you remember that horrible banana medicine that you used to have when you were little?
Yeah.
Oh, that was awful, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I
but
hated
do
that. You used to get like banana and strawberry. No, I couldn't stand it. Whatever the question is, no. And it's like horrible memories. I remember sort of being held down and that medicine stuffed in my mouth. It's like traumatic.
Yes.
Disgusting.
Have you done anything with banana skins, Laura?
Yeah, I have. I went on a bit of a banana peel craze last year and did quite a few things. So I did the pulled banana pork, I guess, but obviously it's not pork. So pulled banana peel. What else did I do with it?
Do you have to like scrape the skins? Do you scrape the pith on the inside off?
Yeah, but you do it like with a fork. So say like you've got your peel and then you put your banana peel on a chopping board and then you like, I'm doing the action, you're going down the peel with a fork and then you have the little bits. Does that make sense? You'll have like little slices.
So you're sort of splitting it into fibres, like...
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I did that. I've done like a savoury sort of banana bacon, I guess. A sweet banana bacon. I did candied, is it candied? Like sort of candied banana peels, so like little sort of basically sugary banana peels. What else did I do?
Now, did that taste like banana flavour sweets?
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. What else did I do? Oh, like it's great in banana bread because you can't taste anything, so you just like put the whole banana in the banana bread. What else did I do? Chutney, banana peel chutney. That was good.
Yeah, I could go for that.
Yeah, that was really good. And
I'm still dreaming of the banana bacon you mentioned. That sounds delicious.
Yeah, that was really nice.
What's the principle for that?
Do you mean like marinade stuff?
Yeah, is that what you do? You marinate them?
Yeah, so you marinate it, and I guess you can sort of use whatever spices and stuff that you have, like things like soy sauce, a bit of maple syrup, or agave nectar, and things like paprika. I've never actually used liquid smoke, but that would be amazing. Yeah, whatever I have to hand as well. You know, like last year I had some, just like a bit of a barbecue sauce, so I just marinate it in that, and essentially you're just frying it, really.
Yeah, okay. I need to get brave. Edward, we can do this.
Yeah, you should get brave, because I think the good thing about it, the banana bacon, like when you do it savoury, it's got like that bite to it, so it is sort of like the texture of what bacon is.
Yeah. Okay. I will be brave and I will try it.
Yeah, give it a go. Be brave, bacon.
Edward, if you try it, please send us any pictures or anything of your experiments. Love to see it. Now, forgive me, I'm almost certainly going to pronounce the next name wrong. I'm going to go for Yule. Jule says, what vegetable offcuts can I use for a vegetable stock? Now, Laura, you started with your peelings.
I did, yeah.
Complete the journey.
To be honest, I would use absolutely anything, you know. So, but I mean, I guess it depends. So I suppose maybe because I've even used like onion peeling, but then I would be draining that, so or sieving it, however you want to say it, so you haven't got the onion bits in there. But I think you can use absolutely any vegetable, really. Yeah, I don't think there's any good or bad vegetable to use. I think you can use any.
And how long do you boil it for?
That is a good question. That's a good question. I don't actually really know the answer to. I suppose I would just boil.
Like, is it a thing that you want to do it for a long time, or actually you're doing it kind of for more like 20 minutes to just kind of get the infusion of the flavours and then...
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because I mean, you get these things like seasonings in there as well, so like a bit of salt and pepper. And but yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends on who you are, really. I mean, I guess the thing about doing it longer is that you would have a greater depth of flavour
I tried it once, and I used some onion peelings and stuff.
Yeah, what
and I boiled it. It tasted disgusting, absolutely disgusting. I poured the whole thing away. It had that kind of astringent, like spinach, like that kind of slightly astringent kind of banana peely kind of quality to it. I don't know what it was that I put in there. I think it was the green leaves vegetables.
Well, maybe things like carrots would be good then. Okay, so carrots would be good because you've got a bit of sweetness there with the carrots, haven't you? I suppose things like sweet potato peelings would be amazing. I'm trying to think what other offcuts of vegetables would be good then. Potatoes are always good.
Yeah, okay.
Should I think of some more?
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Celine,
what about
now.
you? Are you a stockist?
Yeah, I do. I usually go for fennel, the ends that you don't necessarily use for cooking, and also the celery root. Even with the peel, I scrub it clean and cook it. I leave big chunks of it if possible, because if I cook it long, I can still eat the vegetables at the end. They often say you have to discard them, but if they're not, beyond the pale, like disgusting looking, I just still eat them. Might as well.
Yeah. So
just a little bit of oil.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So you don't boil these things to death. You just boil them.
About an hour and a half is usually enough to get quite a bit of a depth of flavor, and the vegetables are still they are a little bit on the mushy side. They're not crisp, but they're still good.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. I love the balance of that, and also it's kind of that thing of reducing compost. I mean, I'm a big fan of composting. I'm guessing you two are.
Yeah.
Too. I've had some exciting experiences with composting.
Why? What happened?
We were doing this whole thing with Bokashi bran.
What?
Where you sprinkle this special bran that's got like a certain bacteria all over it that they grow specially, and then you sprinkle it over and it speeds up the whole composting process, and you leave it in a tub for 2 weeks and then you dig it into the soil and it all kind of accelerates, and it was really great. And just increasingly I cannot be bothered. I don't have time. This place is overflowing with compost. What do I do? So I just started kind of just chucking it out, and sometimes I cover it up and sometimes I wouldn't. I was just throwing it into the garden, basically, just out into the street at people. But I had Brussels sprouts grow on those long stalks.
Yeah.
I had a stalk and I threw it out. And then like a few weeks later, in fact, it was months later, literally months later, I looked and some new Brussels sprouts had grown on the stalk.
Have they really?
And then, yeah. And then last week, I was in the garden and I was sort of walking along and I was like, what's that plant? Is that a weed? Should I pull that? I don't know. It's sort of, it's sort of dwarfing some of the other plants. And I've got this, there's a great, if you're keen on foraging or just gardening and stuff, there's a fantastic app called Picture This, and it's a plant identifying app.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's brilliantly good. And you just take a photo of any plant, like the leaf, even the bark sometimes of a tree, and it's incredibly accurate at identifying plants. And so I was like, what is this plant? I took a picture of the leaves, and it came back and said, yeah, that's celery.
No way.
Celery.
Did it come back and say?
I didn't plant any celery. Yeah. And it was obviously like a stump that I'd thrown out. Had rooted itself, and it's now like 2 feet high in my garden.
The app said it's the celery you threw out last week, Jake.
But that's the thing. It's like I'm starting to realise that the less you do with composting, the more the rewards are that you can reap. So yeah.
Did you eat it then?
I'm waiting. I'm holding out. I'm going to let the stalks fatten out a little bit more. But I ate one stalk and it was good. It tasted slightly unripe.
But have you guys done that then? When you put like the stump of celery in a glass of water and watch it regrow?
I have done all of that, but it doesn't really. Like I've done lettuces, and what you get is not this gorgeous fat round lettuce like you bought. You get this long thin thing, this sort of stem thing. You can kind of eat the leaves, it's okay, but it's not. If you have any top tips, I would love to know how to regrow plants, because it doesn't look like it does on certain social media platforms I can name.
We'll just throw them out in the garden.
That aren't always as factual as they make out. Ian says, There's so much waste when you use a cauliflower. Is there anything you can do with the leaves? Oh, Ian. Yes, there is. Celine, let's start with you.
I just roast it along with the cauliflower. It gets super crispy, super golden. There's nothing to toss, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's done sooner than the cauliflower, I just take it out before it's done. I mean, before the rest of the cauliflower is done.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the stir fry. Sorry.
Yeah. Stir fry is good. Yeah.
You're stealing all my answers.
Yeah.
But you could use that actually for your vegetable stock, So cauliflower leaves, you could use that for your stock. All right, so a different answer. I actually had a really nice salad with the other day. So, work really well in a salad. Yeah, I mean, if you're making a soup, you could use it in the soup as well. So use the leaves as long as the cauliflower. I mean, I think you can just eat it as long as what you would with the cauliflower.
Yeah. Yeah, top tips. I generally use the leaves. If you're really squeezed, sometimes there are really fibrous bits that you can kind of peel out you can kind of strip out of the stem of the leaf. But generally, anything that you do with green leafy vegetables, stir fries or roasting, tastes really good. Ian, embrace it. Have fun. And let's end with a dessert. Katie says, can I have an earth-friendly dessert, please? I don't know what the word earth and dessert together in my head is just a picture of a little ramekin packed with soil. So save us, Laura. What's an earth-friendly dessert?
Right, I'm going to do a couple, I think, then. So one that would look a bit like soil could be aquafaba mousse, chocolate aquafaba mousse. They're using the chickpea water. So that would be an earth-friendly dessert, I think, because you wouldn't have wasted the water. My other one would be a bread dessert. So much bread gets wasted. I think it's something like bread actually is, I think, the most wasted food in the UK. It's something like 24 million slices a day that is wasted. So, so bread and butter pudding, like a vegan bread and butter pudding you could do. So that is my earth-friendly dessert.
That's brilliant. Yeah, you always see reduced bread, don't you, at the end of the day in supermarkets?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just so weird, isn't it? Because we have this sort of real love of bread, yet so much of it gets wasted. So, all right, do you know what? Scrap the aquafaba mousse. My vote is, I'm over that now. Do the bread pudding.
Celine, what about you?
I'm going to go back to that pie I was talking about with the bananas. Because you use old cookies that are too stale for eating as it is.
Yeah.
And you eat the whole bananas too. So it's a bit of a workout to prepare it, but
I don't fully understand. I've never really known a cookie in my household to go stale. The 15 seconds that the packet is open before they're all gone.
But you have too many of them. I mean, especially when I'm preparing for a book, I have to go through a lot of recipes, and there are a lot of leftovers. Yeah. So that's probably the only time.
Do you need a lodger or anything? Because
we can be the recipe testers. I remember actually there was this cake left behind in our kitchen in the office. This was a few years ago. It was like from some sort of social event, and it'd been there for absolutely ages. So it was sort of stale and really hard. And I took it home and used it in a trifle. It was amazing.
That's a really good question, actually. What's the biggest kind of reduction of waste thing that you've ever done? Like you were just saying, you took this whole cake and you made a trifle. Because I can remember I did when I was a kid, right? We went on holiday to France and we were waiting to get the ferry back to England. And there was some package deal. If you went on motorrail, you got a complimentary breakfast on the morning of the ferry, which, for us was jolly exciting because we didn't have much money in those days. And so we were sitting in this big sort of restaurant room, cafeteria, and there were like croissants and little pats of butter and little pots of jam and stuff and baguettes and stuff. And this is in pre-internet and mobile phone days where, this rumor started buzzing across the room. Just this word, just strike. There's a strike. And it was like, you just heard the clatter of knives and forks and plates, and there was going to be a strike in the port, and they were going to shut it down. There wouldn't be any more ferries back to Britain, right? So everybody just ran to their car to get on the next ferry as fast as they could. And my mum just looked at me, she went, do it. And I was, I don't know, like 7 or 8. and we just went round to every table. There must have been like 50 tables in this room. And we just took every pat of butter and every pot of jam, every spare croissant and bit of baguette. We had like a carrier bag because we just went into survival mode. Like, well, if we don't know how long it's going to be till we get to England, we better stock up, for the long haul.
Love that.
It was amazing.
I think maybe the thing that sort of caused the most outrage was I was in the cinema. This was pre-lockdown, and this guy had been eating popcorn, and he left half a box of popcorn when the film ended. So I took the popcorn home to eat and ate it. Yeah. But it was good. I'm still here to tell the tale. Yeah. But maybe don't try this at home. But
well, try it at home. Don't try it in the cinema. Yeah, as long as the popcorn comes from your bubble, you should be fine. Thank you both so much for all your brilliant tips, for great home economy and good for the planet too. Where can people find you and your work? Celine, let's start with you.
I'm on Instagram as Madame Edamame, and online at andbreakfast.net.
Yeah, andbreakfast.net.
That's it.
Stunning photography on that website. It's well worth checking out. It's just a lovely thing to behold. And Laura, what about you?
I'm on Instagram as reduction_raider, as in RAIDER. Yeah, and the number 1.
Yeah.
But now I sort of feel like I should have been Radar. I should have been like RADAR.
Radar.
Yeah, I feel like I should have been Reduction Radar. I feel like that's a better name. But anyway, it's not. It is Radar. And and also I've got my own podcast now, so called All Right Raiders. And yeah, people can find that at Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts. Oh, and also in Vegan Life magazine up there.
And there we shall leave it. Thanks so much to both of my guests. Don't forget, if you've got any questions about plant-based vegan cooking, you can always email podcast@veganlifemag.com. Veganlifemag.com is where you can get a subscription to the magazine if you wish, or you can always go and buy it in a shop. Don't forget, there's also an app if you do the app thing. And do sniff us out on social media too. We've got our own Instagram account now and everything. We feel very grown up. Instagram. That's right. Instagram. We'll be back with another podcast next week. But in the meantime, from me, Jake Yapp. Bye-bye.
This has been a Swanburst Media production.